Ever since my first game of soccer, I've been a huge fan of Rocket League, and especially enjoyed the acrobatic driving gameplay, so much that I sometimes wished I could skip the soccer and just race with the rocket-powered cars instead. And then one day in December 2023, Psyonix finally made that wish come true, but through Fortnite, in a brand new mode aptly named Rocket Racing. I never thought I'd play Fortnite, but you know what they say never, and there's a first time for everything. Adapting the boosting, jumping, and flying mechanics of Rocket League into an arcade racer made for a novel and liberating racing experience, yet feels faithful to Rocket League's unique brand of fun, and I haven't been able to get enough since the game launched. While the game is still growing during its Season 0 phase, and I'm sure will continue to evolve and change over time, I wanted to cover the game as it is right now, as I feel the foundation has already been laid for something great and worthwhile. So with introductions out of the way, this is Rocket Racing, a Rocket League spin-off I've been waiting for. Rocket Racing is all about racing without limits in crazy fast rocket-powered cars, whether they're on the road, the walls, or in the air. The main draw of racing here is that driving along the beaten path is merely a suggestion. As long as you pass through each checkpoint, and remain within the track's bounds, whatever you think is the fastest way to get to the finish line is fair game. Like Rocket League, Rocket Racing has a simple control scheme, but each input's applications open up as you get more creative with where and when to use them. You want to start off each race with a good boost, by hitting the gas as soon as the light turns green, and getting the varied timing down perfectly for a 100% boost. Outside of the gas button for going fast, the left stick for steering, and the brake button that you don't really need, there's the jump button to send your car airborne, and you go higher the longer you hold the button. You can't fly forever as your rocket fuel has a meter, but you can make it last longer by tapping the button slightly to maintain your height, which also uses less meter. Moving the left stick in any direction while you're in the air will tilt or pitch your car to help it maneuver around, including taking turns. Speaking of turns, the drift button helps you take tighter turns, and the longer you hold the drift before straightening out, the bigger speed boost you get at the end. Tapping the drift button while you're sliding will let you quickly sharpen your angle or immediately straighten out to get your drift boost, and holding the drift button, followed by the jump button, will allow you to air drift, which allows you to maintain your drift angle mid-air. Air drifting comes in handy for avoiding obstacles at odd angles on turns that you have to jump over. When you're in the air, the drift button also flips your car in one of 4 directions. Flipping will reorient your car so it can attach to walls or the ceiling, air dodge out of the way of obstacles, or make a quick landing. Just be mindful of your surroundings. Making mistakes that involve going out of bounds, running into walls and guardrails head-on, or touching any solid objects that aren't part of the track will demolish your car, and even the quick respawn time will set you back enough to be an inconvenience. If you miss a checkpoint or start to fly off course, you have the option to quickly self-destruct and respawn back to safety. There is some rubber banding to help you catch up if you're that far behind, though it's not something you want to rely on. Drafting is also possible when you're close enough behind another car, both on the road and even in the air, and a great tactic for moving up, then breaking away at the right time. Finally, there's the boost button, which fills up while driving, but builds faster during drifts, and you can store up to 3 boosts at a time. When you have enough meter for a boost and hit the button, make sure to hit it a second time when the button prompt shows up to get an extra speed bonus. While your car is at its fastest when your wheels are on a surface, sometimes boosting through the skies is the quicker option. Combining and experimenting with all these mechanics together really show off how open-ended the racing is, and that there's often another way through any part of the track. Your personal approach may be what helps you get ahead and come in first. Rocket Racing's tracks are wide and winding roads to environments derived from Fortnite locations, including Tilted Towers and a new area called Convergence Canyon. Tracks are littered with boost pads to speed your car up, and help you launch off ramps over large gaps. The many twists and huge bank turns are perfect for drifting, but long straights can also be drifted on to keep your speed up and help build turbo boost quicker. On the corners that allow it, jumping to cut through turns entirely may be worth your while. You can also drift when the road starts to go vertical or invert, which also includes tunnels, half-pipes, and cylinders. It's worth noting that by default, your steering controls are reversed whenever your car is upside down, so be careful not to go right when you meant to go left. There's way more racing real estate than meets the eye. Some areas of the track can be driven on more than one side, and it's these off-the-beaten-path spots where it's harder, yet quicker to navigate as they often hide boost pads. This also extends to driving off-road, and surfaces of some large objects that may only look like parts of the background environment. While the novice tracks are simple and open, the advanced and expert tracks heat things up with the addition of red hazard obstacles and red hazardous edges of a few road sections, both of which slow you down and should be avoided the best you can. That can be easier said than done at times when the pack is crowded, so sometimes you may get pushed into those zones, and vice versa. While the tracks available have some inspired layouts, they're all just what Psyonix came up with. In a recent update, the Unreal Editor for Fortnite application lets players create and share their own rocket racing tracks. While the tool's in its infancy as people are figuring things out, I have checked out a few cool ideas over the past few days. Hopefully everyone's ideas lead to even more creative ways to race, and maybe even inspire some future official track designs. Another big reason I wanted a Rocket League racer was that I love a lot of the car designs in that game, and wanted to see them on the road instead of a field for once, and thanks to Rocket Racing, that's finally possible. A handful of Rocket League's cars, decals, wheels, and boost and trail effects have made the jump over to Fortnite for your racing pleasure. It's worth noting that every car loadout is merely a cosmetic skin, no differences in driving stats, and the car's hitboxes aren't a deal breaker anymore, since hitting a ball isn't part of the equation, so you're truly free to ride in whatever your heart desires. The car selection of course includes the iconic Octane that every player starts out with, other notable picks like the Jaeger and Cyclone, licensed models like the Lamborghini Huracan STO, and brand new originals like the Diesel and Scorpion. For the cars that have the option, their painted variants are also included for an extra splash of color. Decals spice up car bodies with varied designs, and wheels with the right style and color can bring a car's look together. Because the blue and orange team restriction on car colors is also no longer a roadblock, cars can be customized with more color combinations than ever before. Boost colors fire from the exhaust pipes when rocket boosting, and trails come from your car's wheels when drifting. While the item shop has a rotation of customization items, which I have admittedly spent V-Bucks on just a few times, any compatible existing parts from Rocket League you already have in your garage will transfer over to Fortnite, so your locker won't start from square one. This also includes items from the recent Rocket Pass 14, like the new Admiral car and its decals. The cross-ownership also works both ways. Any car-related items you acquire in Fortnite will also become usable in Rocket League, including new cosmetics like the drift smoke trails. That being said, not everyone's favorites are currently available, at least not right now. Hopefully that won't be the case indefinitely. I've still got a few Rocket League presets that I'd love to race with someday, like my beloved Twin Mill 3. While Rocket Racing's visuals are on the simpler side, that's not to say it can't look gorgeous, especially on PC. The bright and colorful visual style is just what I like to see in my arcade racers, and racing super fast at a 1440p resolution and frame rates of 60 and over with motion blur on looks as pretty as it does cool. Seeing everyone's customized cars whipping around turns with their drift trails and rocketing forward with rainbows of boost fire colors is always a pleasure. For a while though, a player's chosen car didn't always show up in a race, and instead loaded in with the default Octane setup. Thankfully this bug was finally fixed in a recent update. But back to some praise, I was pleasantly surprised by this game's music selection, especially the main theme, which reminds me a little of Rocket League's, but with more of a racing vibe. The rest of the soundtrack is high energy EDM that matches the sense of speed perfectly, and from what I can gather, some of the tracks are by artists that have also had their music featured in Rocket League, so it's cool to hear more of their work in an adjacent game. Hearing the various boost sounds pulled straight from Rocket League in a racing context has been great as well. Equally satisfying are the sounds of tires screeching while the boost meter builds up during a drift. Nothing like some great sound effect choices to help make hitting those buttons feel good. Currently, there are two modes available in Rocket Racing. Ranked Racing is the primary way to play, where you race online against 11 other players for standard 3-lap races to the finish. The more you win or place well, the more you'll rank up, and your rank goes down if you come in the lower places, especially dead last. While there were some issues with rank percentages not working properly, including losing rank for coming in first, they seem to have been ironed out now. Naturally, the higher you climb through the ranks, the more skilled players you'll race against, and compete on the advanced and expert tracks way more often. I initially had no interest in trying to go for the top ranks, but as I came to enjoy playing the game more, the drive towards getting better eventually led into seeing how far I could go. I was able to move up from bronze to diamond without much resistance, but it was everything from elite onward where I truly felt the grind and some frustration set in. I experienced my fair share of stability issues, where the game would randomly freeze and crash, instantly turning some good races into unexpected losses, both in rank and captured footage. While the high-level races were tough, and the fierce competition left little room for error, through a combination of taking optimal lines and going my own way, like drifting on some corners that others would jump through, and when possible, having 3 boosts left for the end when most people would ration with 1, Slowly but surely I was able to claw my way through Elite, then Champion, and finally reach Unreal, the highest rank where your leaderboard number is proudly displayed. From this point, you can keep playing to see how much higher you can go up the board by the end of the season. Outside of racing with a group of friends, the second mode is Speedrun, where you navigate through shorter tracks to compete for the fastest time possible, and can make as many attempts as the time limit allows to improve your best record against everyone else's. There's no player collisions to get in the way, and a ghost of your best time will show you the route you took. As you rank up and finish races, alongside completing other objectives through trackable quests, you'll unlock some customization items as rewards. Who knows just how much more will get added to this game over its lifespan, but I hope a podium sequence is one of those updates, where the top 3 get to show off with their favorite emotes, kind of like how the winning team in Rocket League gets to dance with their cars for a few seconds. I suppose for now, I'll have to keep my victory saxophone to myself. As much as I wanted and imagined what a Rocket League racing spinoff could be like, I never thought that day would actually come. But now that it's here through Rocket Racing, it's been an enjoyable dream come true. While it's not perfect in its current Season 0 state, I hope that with Season 1 on the horizon and beyond, the game will get the fixes it needs for it to truly shine. The appreciation for this game even works the other way. I've also hopped back into Rocket League after years of not playing, and knocking some of my rust off with some casual 3v3s. All this to say, you got me, Epic Games. You convinced me to play Fortnite in probably the only way I would have given it a fair shot, and it 100% worked. As always, this has been fun, and I'm already looking forward to covering another amazing racing game. So I hope you'll check out what I've got in store for next time, and thank you for watching.